Hello, everyone. I'm John Ashley, coming from Lone Wolf Technologies, and I'm so glad to be able to connect with you on today's very special zipForm webinar. Today, we're going to be digging into the zipForm platform, talking about creating a transaction within the zipForm system. I am so thankful to be able to connect with you, and I am thankful that the Oregon Real Estate Forms team was able to connect us together, making it so that you're able to go through this process, learn more about the system. So Oregon Real Estate Forums team, thank you so much for getting this connected. I really appreciate it. Let's first talk about how you can ask questions today. So we have a couple options for asking questions. I do prefer if you could direct your questions to the Q&A section. So you'll notice that Q&A section on the bottom middle of the page. If you could direct your questions to the Q&A section, that would be most helpful to me. What happens with chat sometimes is that sometimes a conversation gets started and I sometimes will miss a question as each point of the conversation continues through. So it can be easy to miss a conversation along the way. I don't want to, a question along the way. So I don't want to miss any of your questions. So please add them into the Q&A section for me. Also, it is best if you could just take notes and follow through while watching the video, not trying to do it at the same time I'm doing it within your own system. This is all being recorded, and a recording will be sent out a little bit later. It's going to be added into the Oregon training systems that they have. So they have some the Oregon Real Estate Forums team has a training section. It's going to be added into that section. Actually, some of my former videos probably already have been. So you can, if you want to follow along within the system, I would suggest pulling up a recording. That way you can take it step by step and reverse it or fast forward, whatever you need to do. Okay. Topics today include signing into transactions, profile settings, navigation bar, in-app resources, creating a new transaction, transaction navigation, how to add parties, forms, and documents. And then we're also going to be talking about the new Authentisign as well. That's not one of the pinpoints here, but we are going to be talking about the new Authentisign system, being able to create a transaction and then get our first e-sign packet sent out. Thank you again, everybody that was able to join in. Don't forget, if you have any questions, please add them into that question and answer box. This is being recorded, and a recording will be added to the Oregon Real Estate Forums training system. All right, let's go ahead and get into the system itself. For most of you, you'll have a single login option within the Oregon system itself. So you'll be able to go into the system and see zipForm on there. But for everyone else, you can head over to zipformplus.com if you have a username and password you need to use to log in. Either way, it's going to take you right directly into your transaction system. So this is the default page. As soon as you open up the program, it will take you right here to the transactions page where you can track all the different transactions you've created. At the top of the page is where you can create a transaction if you would like. So just head up there to plus add. We're going to be doing that here in just a moment. But before I get to that, let me just cover some fundamental aspects of the program before even creating a transaction, a couple items that you may want to adjust. For example, here at the top right, we do have your profile and settings. Heading in there, you can go ahead and make sure that your email address is correct, your name is correct, your phone number, all of those details. You want to make sure that they're put together properly, as the system will create a signature for you on those emails getting sent out for e-sign. And when it creates that signature, it's going to use those details. So just make sure you have your details put together the way that you prefer. Next, at the top of the page, we do have additional options, by the way, forms and products and settings. Settings is where you can connect with your e-sign solution. So I would make sure and push Authentisign, the new and improved system. You can also connect your DocuSign program if you have purchased DocuSign on your own. So DocuSign is a completely separate company. Lone Wolf does not own DocuSign, but we do allow the integration for free within the system. So DocuSign, you have to pay for it through DocuSign, but then you can integrate for free into zipForm if you would like to. So that is an available option for you. We have other options and settings you can go through, but let's quickly talk about some of the items here at the top of the page. Starting with the dashboard. Dashboard has items where you can track your task and task in progress, see what items are about to close or get approved. And then on the far right-hand side, you can track all your recent activity that you've completed as well. Next is the forms section. This was a library of your original forms. So if you wanted to check out all your different original forms, you can. But you can also do that by attaching them to a transaction, which of course that's a transaction screen. Next are the templates. We do have all kinds of great templates that you can create. We have some systems that can help you create those templates. We also have a live public webinar that walks you through creating a template. What is a template, you may wonder? A template is a wonderful time-saving tool which will allow you to choose a template and automatically add on particular checklist items, particular forms, documents, and folders onto your transactions. You can decide beforehand, say, okay, this is what I would like to have added in. Once you add those onto the template, it'll then automatically add onto the transaction when you select the template, saving you quite a bit of time and effort there. So I would definitely suggest templates, and I would create more than one template. Create a couple templates, one for a sell side, one for a buy side. The checklist items and the forms and all that are going to be different depending on what you have selected. So keep that in mind. If you want some help creating a template, we do have this guided help section, which will take you through a step-by-step process of creating that template. We have the doc in box with the email address here at the top. Everybody will have their own email address. That email address, when you send a document to it as an attachment, it'll automatically add the document into the system. We have a nice way to be able to add items in. You can track all the tasks that you have on all of your transactions here. So if you decide to use our solution to add tasks in and track them, you can do day-to-day items on there. So you can go ahead and add these items in. Kate was asking a question. So this is the zipForm platform. SkySlope is a completely separate program. They're a completely separate company. So if you're looking for a SkySlope training, unfortunately, this is not that. This is for zipForm. Next, we have contacts. You can track all the different contacts that you have created within the system as well. And then we have all kinds of partners that you can connect with to be able to help your understanding of the program. So we have help with your connections there. Things like Boost, if you use the Boost marketing tool. We have Cloud CMA. We have the DocuSign connection, as I mentioned. Constant Contact there, eCommission, Hurdler, Google Contacts, and Google Calendar. So you can all connect all these different items on here to make it so that you can easily integrate your different systems into zipForm so that it's a more seamless approach. You do have to pay for those items with whatever company they come from. For example, I've talked about DocuSign a couple times. You do have to pay for DocuSign, but the integration within zipForm is completely free. Okay, so go ahead, use those options. All kinds of great options available for you to be able to connect with. Okay, all right, excellent. Now let's create a transaction together. So I'm going to head here to transactions, where you can head here to plus new and start your transaction creation process. Now, I've created a brand new sell side listing in the past, used that option a couple different times. We also have the ability to create a new purchase, represent a buyer, new lease for tenants. So we have several different options available to us. Let's go ahead and do a new purchase or offer. So last time I used like I said, I did I don't know if I actually did say that, I did a new listing. So I was representing the seller in that example there. But let's go ahead and take a look at a listing within a purchase side. So if you're representing the buyer instead, okay? And yeah, I'm glad someone on there is like, I'm so glad you're doing a purchase side. So I did a list side last time. I figured this time would be a good time to do a purchase side instead. So we have lots of different available options that can help you bring items into the system. So looking at this, I'm going to grab a particular listing. Let's plug in a property address. So this is if I would be turning in an offer in on a home. So I am going to use the address of a real property. West Gopher Valley Road. If you don't know who the address yet, maybe you are working on turning in offers, you can go ahead and put this in the buyer's name instead. And then when you know the actual property name, you can add it in later on. So you can just add it in later on. We're going to click on this MLS Connect feature. So with the MLS Connect feature, you can actually take listings from the MLS itself and be able to bring in the information over for that transaction. So you can actually bring in all the details. Instead of you having to go through the process of adding in all those details yourself, you can actually use the MLS Connect feature to be able to assist you. And so this is really wonderful, especially when we're talking about a new buy-side listing like we're doing right now. More than likely, this listing is on the MLS already. And so we'll go ahead and plug it in. I should have a listing ID available to me. Just one second. I lost it. Of course, if someone has a listing ID right there with them, you can always just plug it in. I'd be happy to use that one instead. So it should be connected with the type of MLS that you have connected onto your account. So which one that you're allowed to be able to connect on. Of course, that may change depending on which one you're connected with. So just want to keep that in mind there. This particular account is on the RMLS account there. So that's the particular MLS. I don't know if it works with every MLS in Oregon. We do connect with quite a few different ones though. It looks like I completely lost my ID. My page got reset, and when it got reset, I completely lost the listing. So I am going to grab a different MLS listing ID. Like I said, if someone has one on hand, I'd love to use it in this case. Sorry about that, everybody. Like I said, got reset on there. When it got reset, it completely disappeared. So let me pull this up one more time. Just trying to find a listing ID. I just want to use a real one here. And of course, I'm having to re-find it again. So I apologize for that. Give me one more second. If I can't find it, I'm just going to continue forward, but I just want one more moment to be able to pull this MLS listing ID. Like I said, my page got reset. So there it is. I'll just grab this one. I just grabbed a new one. So I'll put it right there. You can then even include the property photo if you'd like, and you push find to be able to pull the listing through and see it pulled in those details. Completely different listing, of course, but I'm just going to use that as my example. So I have the ability to bring in the information, go ahead and still fill out the street address details. If you are doing a brand new listing that isn't on the MLS, we do have some additional options where you can use the zipForm Record Connect feature. If that is on your account, not every account has that option, but some do. In that case, if you have that as an option, you can come up here and be able to plug in the city and the state and the zip code and use that Record Connect feature to be able to bring in information from public record as well. So if you do not have a MLS listing ID because it's not on the MLS yet, of course that's going to happen. You can still plug in the details for many of you. You can still plug in the details to bring it over. Okay, moving forward, we're going to go ahead and push residential there. If it had an image to pull from the MLS, it would, but this one doesn't. Templates, if you had any templates, it would say templates here, but we're going to go ahead and select save and move forward into this. This is your summary page. You'll notice some details pre-filled out for me. The reason those pre-filled out is because I use that MLS listing ID, okay? If your listing didn't have a listing ID in the beginning and you found one later, or you were creating a new sell side and you got one later, you can still come back and use the MLS Connect feature at a later time. We also have the new eSign here. You can switch right over to eSign. If you're connected with a cloud CMA account, you can go ahead and start your CMA here. Apply a template. If you didn't apply the template the first time around and then you created one and you're ready to apply it, you can still do that. You can add documents on here. You can email to transaction. and then you can use the facts cover sheet as well. So we have some different options at the top. The left-hand side has e-signings in progress and required tasks. You'll notice it's already added in some parties. The reason why it did that is because it pulled them over from the MLS. We're going to be talking more about parties in a second, but wanted to point out that it did already add some parties for you. You can track your recent activity here, and you can also integrate home warranty, title, and natural hazard disasters as well. So you could actually go through the home warranty and title process for your buyer at a later time too. Again, there's a cost, just like normal for home warranty and title, that will go through the buyer, but you can track those items and track the paperwork required here within zipForm for free. Okay. We can change our status right here on the property, and don't forget to add in as many details as you possibly can. The more details that you add in, the less that you're going to have to worry about adding in at a later time. I was just double checking the price on that listing, so I could put a decent price on there. So you add in the details, as many details as you can, and let's go ahead and move into the party section next. Mary, Tina, I haven't ignored your questions. Going to get to those in just a moment. I'm going to delete these contacts. I don't want to reach out to real individuals. I am using their listing as an example, so I don't want anyone to feel like I'm I'm trying to reach out on a listing that they're expecting offers in on. So I don't want to run into that situation. So let's create some fake examples here. On the left-hand side, I have buyers, sellers, list agents, sell agents. Let's start here with buyer one. So clicking on this, I can go ahead and add in my Mr. Trainer. I know it comes from a long line of trainers. Joking, of course. So we'll plug in as many details as we possibly can about the person. Don't forget to save them to the address book. That way, if this is a contact you're going to connect with later, you can always come back. If you have a signing representative, this is where you'd add that signing representative as well. So I have my Mr. Trainer. If I have a Mr., I could have a Mrs. as well. So Mrs. Trainer. And plug in their details. The more details you fill in, the easier this is going to be on your forms a little bit later, okay? So plug in as many details as you can. If this is someone you've worked with in the past, you may have saved them to your address book. So if you push that blue button, you may see them. And that's where saving that contact is so important, because then you can see them in the address book. We also connect with systems like LionDesk and CRMSF and Wise Agent, Google Contacts. So you can also pull from other resources as well. I am going to add myself in as an agent here. A fake agent, of course. There we go. Go ahead and select save. So now I have a couple contacts added in. One question I get pretty consistently, what if you have more than 4 buyers or 4 sellers? That's why we have this add other option at the bottom. So if you ever run into a circumstance where you have more than 4, you can always use the add other feature. Same works if you have a co-list or a co-sell agent, or if you just have a contact that doesn't fit the normal categories we have available, you can always select the add other. Next, we're going to have the document section. Now, Mary asks, if there are documents loaded in the MLS, can you download those documents? So good question, Mary. So let me answer that question in 2 parts. So first, for a transaction, you can pull from the transaction, from the Oregon Real Estate Forms library, okay? They have, when you go here to add doc, they have a section called add form, where you're going to be able to pull from all the different forms that they have available. And we have even a couple different separated libraries. So commercial on there, the Spanish library, and then whatever regional MLS you might be connected to as well. You can actually search for a particular item on there as well. So if I was looking for, the buyer's representation agreement or disclosure agreements, or of course, your normal offer agreements as well. So you can just type in a singular word to be able to look for a particular item. Let's see here. Those are counter offers. That's a backup offer, offer summary. Let's see here. Trying to find the actual, if I was going to turn in a buyer's offer. That's number 2. I must be missing one. You'll have to excuse me. I'm from Kansas City, so all the different forms I look at sometimes are a little bit different at times, and I'm just seeing if there's one that I'm missing. Those are counter offers. Okay. So you would grab your normal offer on there. I'm just going to grab number 2 and just call it good there for the counter offer. I'm just using this as an example. You can also upload documents from outside the system. So you can upload them from your computer, or you can upload them from a cloud resource. And Mary, that's what I figured you were referring to. Mary was talking about documents that are already uploaded to the MLS. You do have to download those documents and then pull them from your computer, unfortunately. So if they are uploaded to the MLS, you do have to download them and then pull them in using your computer. So download them and then pull them in. You can select a singular document and push open, and then browse and add more documents. So you can add multiple documents. You can also open up the folder that has the documents in it. So if I had a folder of documents, I could grab more than one and drag them into zipForm. So that's another option to save you a little bit of time there. Okay, so just an available option. I wanted to show you can bring in multiple forms. We do have the folder option here where you can organize this based upon your preference. So you can organize this. You can make this as simple or as complex as if you would like. ZFX, that means that it's a form. If it's a form, it'll actually take all the information from the transaction. It'll take the parties and all of that and automatically add those onto a form. My documents, ones that I pulled from my computer, or maybe I downloaded them from the MLS and added them in, those I am going to have to add in the information on there. And I'm going to show you how to do that here in just a second. You can also apply a template from here as well if you have a template of saved forms and documents that you'd like to use. We have some other options. We have checklists here with the different checklists that you can select. So if you would like to go through that process, you definitely can. You can also attach notes and go through e-sign if you'd like. And you can even track your recent history within the transaction as well. All right, so lots of available features here that you can go through to be able to make a better connection with the agents, or better connection with your transaction, attaching all the items that you need. Let's go ahead and move forward now into the next part here, which is going to be creating our Authentisign packet. So we're going to be creating our Authentisign packet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on my desired form, open it up. When I click on my desired form, I can now start filling out the desired form. So I can add in all the information that I need. Okay. I'm using this as an educational example. I understand this is a counter offer. I don't know all your forms well enough to know exactly which one would be the initial buyer's forms, because I don't work for Oregon Real Estate. I work for Lone Wolf, and I work with a lot of different MLSs. But this is the form that I picked as an educational example. You can go ahead and add in the details that are necessary. Here is your workspace. You can add additional forms and documents to make it so that you have multiple items that you can go through. So we're actually developing a packet of multiple forms and documents. So you can put those together as well. You can also add additional forms and documents by going here to add. You can pull from your forms library. You can also pull and upload documents as well. On the right-hand side, we have quite a few different tools that you can use to be able to help you with the different information that you're filling out. First, we have our parties. Parties, let's say that you notice that something was misspelled or information was incorrect. You can go in and make any adjustments. So maybe this is Mr. Test trainer. And then when I push save, it will then adjust it on all of my forms and all of the signature portions all at the same time. So every single form, if I adjust the party and push save, it will adjust all of them at the same time. We do also have the ability with listing info to be able to make adjustments to the information provided. For example, I didn't add in the state. So I need to add Washington there. I need to add the zip code. And when you add those items in, it will automatically add to every single form you have at the same time. Next, we have offer info. So if there was information that was incorrect or not added in, you can always come in and add those details as well. Next, we have clauses. There's going to be particular sections that you're going to be able to click in and add in a clause. You can add in a clause at any time. We actually have the ability to develop a library of clauses. And so you can push the plus create a clause and design your own clause that you can then use on any of your forms where it has that plus add clause. You can design and have saved any of the clauses that you need. Next on here are the tools, are the tools. You have the ability to add a text box or highlight particular portions. With a document that you pulled in from outside the forms library, it came from your computer or something like that, you'll need to use the text box to be able to add in the necessary items. So here I need to add in Lone Wolf Technologies, and then you can drag it to where it needs to go. And you can make adjustments such as the font size and the color and the font family as well. And you can do that in multiple areas of your documents. Once you have your documents filled out the way that you'd like, once you have filled in all the details that you need to on your forms, you can either go two paths here. First, if you're doing a wet signing, they're sitting in your office, they just want you to print it so they can sign it via pen. That's totally understandable. You can use that print option there to be able to print these items out. So you can use that print option to be able to print those items out. If you'd like, you can also download it from here if you'd like as well. But if you're wanting to use the electronic email solution, you're not wanting to print it out and go through it, but you actually want them to go through the electronic sign solution, we're going to go here to prepare signing. Prepare signing will give you two options: going to the new and approved amazing AuthentiSign system, or if you are a DocuSign user, you can send it over to DocuSign. For those that have been using zipForm for a while, you may remember an old system called Digital Ink. That will be eventually going away. So if you haven't had the opportunity to start learning the new AuthentiSign solution, I would definitely suggest start now. It's a really great system. So go ahead and start learning that, because Digital Ink will eventually, over the next few months, will be eventually going away. So let's go ahead and send this to the new AuthentiSign. I'm going to name it whatever it needs to be named. Counter offer is just fine in this circumstance, but name it whatever you need and then push create. Whatever you name it is going to be the name that pops up when you are sending it out. It's going to be the subject of the email. Okay. Hey, Donna, I saw that you raised your hand. If you wouldn't mind, go ahead and ask your question in Q&A. At the very end, though, I will give ample opportunity if people want to raise their hand and ask questions that way as well. But if you do have a question, throw it in Q&A for me. Thank you. So let's go ahead and select create. And now I have my form and my document that I need signed. Let's start by adding my participants. So I'm going to select add participants. I can add myself, I can add new, or I can add from transaction. The reason it's having you add these in is because you need to choose if they are a remote signer, a reviewer, or if they just need to be carbon copied at the very end. So a remote signer means that they need to do something of some kind when they're in here. They need to perform an action of some kind. The reviewer means that they can approve or decline the documents and forms. They can approve or decline the package that we have put together. And then CC means that they're just going to get a carbon copy after everyone has completed their part there. They're just going to get a carbon copy of it at the very end. All righty. And by the way, everyone will get a copy of this at the very end as well. We'll go ahead and push select. Donna asked a good question that I want to mention real quick. So you'll notice as soon as you add your signers, it will immediately add their signature portions and it'll add in the dates on there. Donna was asking if sending out a disclosure, if it will have the check mark items where they can fill it out. The answer is if that is the way that the MLS has set it up. So if they have requested that we set it up where the seller is the one that fills it in, then you will notice when you add in the seller, you'll notice those check mark boxes appear for the seller, okay? So as long as the MLS has set up those forms that way, then you should be able to see all those check marks appear for the seller when you move from when you have the disclosure selected as a desired form. Okay, and I think actually in my previous class with you all, I went through the sell side. I believe I do remember those check mark boxes appearing for a lot of the seller items on there for the disclosure, so they can fill in some of those details. I do, in the very least, remember initials, so I do remember that. And Sarah, my wonderful person from Oregon Real Estate Forms, she's saying, yes, the e-signature versions of the forms of the disclosures will have the check mark boxes. So perfect. Thanks, Sarah. Like I said, I'm not an expert in all the different forms that are available within Oregon Real Estate Forms, so I'm really grateful for people like Sarah who can help me get those questions answered. So thanks, Sarah. And so those will automatically appear when you move the disclosure over to Authentisign, and then when you send it out, they will be able to electronically select the checkmark boxes and the radio choice options, everything they need. Okay, excellent. So now that I have them, I want to set them in a particular order. So I'm going to push set signing order, and then I can drag and drop individuals in whichever order that I prefer. I usually suggest adding yourself in as the very last contact. The reason I suggest that, especially with disclosures where they are going to be filling this out, you don't want to get into a circumstance where they filled it out, but they didn't properly fill out everything and you didn't catch it till later. So I would suggest go ahead and add yourself as the very last signer. It's just going to save you a lot of headaches. So definitely would suggest that if you haven't done that before. There are additional options as well that you can click in and learn. You can adjust email address, their role, signer type, signer PIN. So if they want an added layer of security, you can set up a signing PIN as well. And then you can even customize the signature. So earlier we were talking about a signing representative. With the signing representative, it will have their signature on there for the custom signature. We also have a lot of questions that come in about preferred name. Get that question all the time. And so what happens, what you'll need to do is add in the name that they choose to prefer. And then in the customize here, that would be where you would add in their, that is where you would then add in their actual legal name. Okay, so that's the difference there between preferred name, legal name. So you want to make sure, add it in the way it needs to be, and you have their full legal name right there, and then push save afterwards. Next, we have docs. We have options within the docs as well, where I can click in and replace the file or remove the file. You can select particular documents to be able to delete them if you would like. You can also change the order of particular pages as well. That you may want to use that when you're running into a circumstance where it was uploaded incorrectly and sent over to you. I know I've seen where someone will send something over, and unfortunately, they'll have everything in the wrong place. So in that circumstance, you just want to make sure and get it set up properly within the system, okay? All righty. I've answered those questions so far. let's go ahead and move in. First, you can adjust the order. And we're going to head now and move into tools. So along the way, there are going to be documents that you receive where you need to be the one to add in their name, their email address, all of those details, right? In that circumstance, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to add in your signer action, signer fields, and markup. Let's start here with markup. We already were talking about markup at the top where we added the office name for ourselves. Let's use it one more time to add the office name down here. For those that are like, I have never seen this form before, this is my educational example. So just stick with me on here. I only use this to make it so I can show you how to use these different tools. Signer fields, these features will not appear until after that particular person comes in to begin signing. So if I put in the full name, Mr. Test Trainer there isn't going to populate until after they come in to start signing this document or form, okay? And then I have the auto date on there. I have the email address. All of those are wonderful available options to be able to add in to be able to save yourself a little bit of time adding them in so you don't have to use the markup, okay? Signer actions means that they have to perform an action of some kind in order for this to be completed. Now, I had someone, Robert, thank you, Robert, who brought up a really good point that when you're adding in a signature or adding in some of these other items on here, you will have some additional options. So when I click on a signature, I can actually save the default of what items will appear when I choose the signature option. So I can make it so that the name block will automatically appear when I choose to add a signature. And then I can save that as the default where every single time I add a name block, or excuse me, every single time I add that signature square, it will also add the date and the name block. You can choose how you want this put together. That was a good point, Robert. Thank you for bringing that up. We also have a really great option that's newer here at the top of the page in the drop-down menu called All Signers, where you can add in signatures and signer fields and markup all for every single signer at the same time. So I can add all of them for every signer at the same time and then choose if there's a particular one I need to delete for whatever reason. We also have some additional options, such as, if I'm heading back here just for a second, such as the radio choice and checkmark boxes. Radio choice options are going to be a one-to-many option. So right now I have 1 out of 2 choices. If I click on this and add the plus here, now I have to choose 1 out of 4 options, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 6, however many options you want to create. What you're doing is you're saying, hey, you have to choose at least 1 out of however many options. And then you can delete if you added too many or delete them completely like I'm doing now. Next, we have checkmark boxes. Checkmark boxes are either a 1-to-1 required or 1-to-1 optional. Anytime something needs to be required or optional, you can make that adjustment just by clicking on it. And you'll see it'll say required, and you can turn off the requirement anytime that you need. So anytime you run into a situation where an item is optional, not required, you can turn off the requirement and select it as optional instead. Next, I have myself. By myself, I don't mean literally myself. I mean, we have a selection called myself, where you can actually pre-sign your documents and forms even before getting them sent out. So if I push sign here, I would then accept the terms and conditions. You can then create a style. You can draw a signature, which you can see the last time I put void on there because I don't want to actually sign something for Melissa. You can also upload a signature stamp if you'd like as well. And then just set the signature. And then you can drag it to where it needs to go. And so you can actually pre-sign everything before it is even before it's even sent out. Okay, and you can also do that on your forms. If there is a section on forms you can always click and trash it and then add in the signature where that was supposed to go to. So lots of different options here. We have one more option called layouts that I want to talk about. So before I do that real quick, Robert is asking, follow-up, is there a way to make all date fields automatically insert timestamp as well? So for this, it's only going to be a date field. You do have to add the auto date and then the auto time if you're doing it in that capacity. So auto date and then auto time. If you're adding it as a signature, like at the bottom here, you can make it add the name block, the date block, and the timestamp. So you can do all the above. Okay, so if you are, just to reiterate there, Robert, signature portions do have those options that you can save as a default. With the date block, if you're just adding a date block, it doesn't have that timestamp option. It's just the date block, and then you have to add in the timestamp. Good question. I appreciate the question. Thank you. All right, layout. So I went through and I added in all the signature fields and the name blocks and all that on here. Let's say that this is a form I work with pretty often, right? I can actually create what's called a layout. Go to create layouts here and name it. And so the next time this form comes up as a form that I need to fill out, the next time that comes up, I can actually come in and click to apply the layout. And when I apply the layout, it's going to automatically add in all those signature portions and all of that, even if it's on a brand new transaction. So even if it's on a completely separate transaction, I can still apply the layout to make it so that I can add in all those at the same time. So it's a really great time saver. I would definitely suggest using it to be able to assist you in your building of the program here, building everything that you need, okay? Excellent. Not seeing any questions come in. So let's go ahead and talk about sending this out. So after you have everything filled in, go ahead and push next. Oh, I forgot to add a signature portion here. I'm just going to throw in a sign here and then move on. So next, you can customize the signature. So hello, Mrs. Thank you for joining class today. And then they will have that message on there where it's going to have, when you're going through here, they'll have that message already on there. You don't need to add the signature portion. The signature portion is going to automatically add in. You don't have to worry about adding that in yourself. That signature portion will automatically add in for you. Push save, push send, and then it will send it out with everything signed and ready for them to start signing. You can then track your e-signing within the e-sign part right here. So you can keep track of it. You can see this one is sent. I can click on it if I want to adjust the email address. I can also head up here to action items to reset or resend or duplicate as well. And what it looks like in their email box is this. It'll have the message. It'll have all the different items on there. And it'll have your signature portion in there as well. And they just push start signing to start signing the document. When they complete their portion, you are going to get an email that says signing updated, and it'll have all the information about when it was updated. And that's just telling you, hey, it's moving on to the next person. Once everybody has signed it, completed it exactly the way it needs to be complete, everyone is going to get this signing complete email, and that you are going to be able to download the documents for your own records, so that you can download all those documents for your own records as well. All right. And that is the full e-sign process, sending out your first e-sign packet. We have lots of different resources that can assist you in your growth of the program. First off, don't forget about that guided help, because that will take you through those step-by-steps. Whether you're creating a transaction or creating a new template, you can go through those step-by-steps. We also have the question mark here on the top right with our Learning Center. The Learning Center has all kinds of guides you can go through, little linked resources. We have live training classes throughout the month. These are public, completely free, and recorded, and a recording does go out within 48 hours of each presentation. And so sign up. Would love to see you on any of those classes. We also have our help guides. These are written out guides that you can go through as well. You can print if you'd like or download from there. We have short link videos. We have a knowledge base of resources with all kinds of top support articles as well. And like I said, this entire class was recorded, and a copy of the recording will be added into the training system from the Oregon Real Estate Forms team. Speaking of zipForm and the Oregon Real Estate Forms team, I had a question come in from Tina about accessing zipForm. What's the cost? Who should they contact? I'm guessing, Sarah, if they want more information about adding zipForm on, they should just contact you. Is that correct? Could you comment on the board there, just like you did previously, just to let me know if that's the path that they should go? That's my guess. So if you want to learn more information about accessing the zipForm system through the Oregon Real Estate Forms, go ahead and contact that team. They will be able to provide you with the details that you need to make it so that you can get into the system. So go ahead, contact that team. They can answer all your questions about getting connected with zipForm. Beyond that, though, I'm just on the lone wolf side, so I don't know the exact answer to that question. But thank you, Tina, for adding that question in. I wanted to save that for last, as I know others might have that question as well. So you can always contact the team there at Oregon Real Estate Forms. Robert is asking, if you make a template, can you share it with others? Unfortunately not. Templates are created just for yourself on there. We do have what are called office type accounts. If you wanted to upgrade your account through Lone Wolf to an office type account. And then Sarah sent me an email address. I'm going to copy that and I'm going to send that to everybody. This email address is where you're going to contact them if you would like more information about connecting your zipForm system. And then, so Robert, if you make a template, it is just for you unless you do choose to look at an upgraded account where it's for your entire office. So good question. I'm sorry, we don't have the ability to share templates just yet, but hopefully that is something we can look at for the future. Someone has, someone's odd parent named them anonymous attendee. I'm joking, of course. So someone decided to keep their privacy with their name there. I just always make that joke when I see that. But they have asked, is DigitalLink going away and when? The answer is eventually yes. We were planning on removing it by the end of Q1. We had some hiccups on the back end that made it so that it's not going to be able to be removed just yet, but it is going to be going away. Okay. Even if it's going away, tomorrow, or if it's coming, from several months from now, either way, I would definitely learn the new AuthentiSign system and just really get into the new AuthentiSign system because that is what's going to be the future. And so go ahead and get that down. We do have classes that can help you. Tina made an astute observation. The email address I sent over is the Oregon Real Estate Forms support team. Like I was saying before, if you want more information about getting connected with the zipForm system and the Oregon Real Estate Forms, you're going to have to contact them to be able to help. Okay. They can give you all the information that you need in order to make it so you can connect zipForm into the Oregon Real Estate Forms. If you're looking to upgrade your account, or if you have questions about, if you're coming in and you have questions about zipForm itself, go ahead and contact our support team. That's the phone number there. That's the email address. You can contact our support team if you have specific zipForm questions. But when it comes to answering, how do I get this connected to my Oregon Real Estate Forms account? you're going to want to connect to their customer service team. They're the ones who are going to be able to assist. All right, any other questions? These are some excellent questions, of course. Expect nothing less from you all there from Oregon. You even caught me in a y'all there. So if you can't tell, I'm not from your region. I'm from Kansas City. So but it's always so nice to be able to connect from people from all around the country. So I'm very grateful for this time that we've had together. Let's see, any other questions? And at this point too, if you would like, you can raise your hand and I can unmute you for a question as well. So if you would prefer not to use the Q&A box, this is the time. If you'd like to raise your hand, I could also unmute you for a question if you prefer as well. Bonnie is asking about the Oregon real estate, the other types of forms. Sarah, you were telling me about those forms that they are not right now in the system. I don't know if they're going to be added in. Right now, it is only Oregon real estate forms that are added in. I know the other Oregon Real Estate Association, I believe, is ORA. They are not going to be added in as far as I know at this point. But you can always contact your MLS from the Oregon Real Estate Forms team for more information about that. They're the ones that kind of control what we do and do not have within the available forms resources. Thank you, Aunt Bonnie, for your question. I appreciate it. Seeing if there's any hands raised or if there are any other questions. And I am not seeing any, which is perfectly okay. I want to thank everybody for joining me on this Wednesday afternoon. Thank you so much for taking time out of the middle of your week to be able to connect on a zipForm training. I really appreciate it. As I was saying, please connect with us via please connect with our support team. Please connect with our webinars. I would love to see you on a future webinar. If you want to learn more, we do have webinars that are topic-based that will break the system down for you a little bit more. So I would definitely check out those webinars. Thank you, everyone who took the time out of your day to be able to join in. I hope you were able to get what you needed out of the session. And like I say always, have a wonderful day.